Episode 149, Adam Cagley. Adam Cagley is an actor and writer. He's been doing the Hollywood thing since he was a kid. He got to work with Jeremy Allen White when he played Lip's roommate on Shameless. Then he walked away from all of it to become a horror writer. Books, no less. We talk about his journey. Please welcome to the show, Adam Cagley. What's up, everybody? Some shows coming up. So July 25th. Saturday, July 25th, we're doing an actual anti-fascist pasta party. There's going to be comedy, there's going to be music, and yes, there's going to be food. That's going on at Folio Te in San Pedro. That's our house show venue. So if you want to attend that, email me, and I'll send you all the info. Also, Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I will be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival all of August 6th through 30th. I guess technically that's not all of August, but that's the Fringe run. Anyway, August 6th through 30th, Westport Oracle, 3:45 p.m. I'm part of the free Fringe, so you don't need tickets. Just show up. You can get all information at my website, ronflacone.com. Also, Left It Wall is out now. You can watch Left It Wall on Tubi for free and YouTube free with ads. Those are the free places to watch Left It Wall. You can also get it on a bunch of other platforms. And we're running a special. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm going to be posting this up on Substack as well. But if you follow me on social media, there is a trivia contest going on for Left It Wall, where you can find the trivia questions. You can email me your answers, and then I'll be sending a winner a free T-shirt. I'll kind of like put your name in a hat, draw a winner, and that person will get a free T-shirt. So you can watch a free movie and get a free T-shirt. Who doesn't want a free T-shirt? Come on. So watch Left It Wall. Find those questions. Email me your answers. You can just find it on my social media, on my Instagram. It gives the Left It Wall contest questions. They're pretty easy if you watch the film. So, yeah, check that out. Enjoy today's episode. Adam Cagley, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Good to be here.
Good to see you again. It's been, well, I guess it's been a couple years. I didn't realize it had been that long. But
it kind of flew by and crept by at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Like a kind of relic of these crazy times we're plowing through.
Yeah. What was it that article that said that like from 2020 onwards, we've started like perceiving time differently or something like that?
I believe it. I mean, everything is just, it's wow. Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming when you think about it, but I don't know. I mean, you got to keep moving. I mean, that's all we can do. Like we just got to keep moving, and we got to try to navigate through these tough times. And usually ends up being a theme on this show. Really, I mean, it's how it's a time capsule in many ways. So
sure,
but I like to start at the beginning. So, where are you from?
I'm from LA originally. I was born in the Valley. I moved around a little bit when I was younger. I lived like up in the Antelope Valley for a long time. I moved to Arizona very briefly. Definitely don't recommend doing that.
What brought you to Arizona?
I had family that lived out there.
Oh, okay.
And as soon as they stopped living out there, I was like, well, I'm not fucking staying here. Came back, lived in the Valley again. I'm still here, plugging along.
So what, I mean, I know obviously you have a big acting background, which we're going to dive into, but did you start that like very young?
I mean, I guess considerably. I started doing, my sister was a choreographer for a theater company that was working on like all kid productions. And she was just like, hey, we got this show coming up. Do you want to do it? And I was like, sure, whatever. And I was like maybe 9 when I did that. And then I got my first agent and did my first commercial when I was 10. And then it was.
I'd say that's early. I'd say that's pretty early. I mean, that's not like childhood actor, but that's childhood actor.
It's not like like the Drew Barrymores of the world that were like infants doing it.
Right. Well, do you come from a show business family then?
No, not at all. My mom was a preschool teacher and my dad was a pool guy.
So what led you to like getting the agent and stuff like that? Was that your sister or just you?
I mean, a bit of both, because like the agent was in the audience for my first show, there to see one of her clients that was in the show. And it was like afterwards she came up to me and my parents and like introduced herself and gave us her card, and my parents immediately were like smelling bullshit and were like, okay, what's this gonna cost? Because we had before when I was younger, those agencies that like set up tables in malls and are like, we want to represent your kid, but first you got to spend $7,000 on headshots and classes with us. So my parents were like immediately wary of it, and it took her a little bit of convincing, and it was like, honestly, good on her for doing it. Like coming back to my parents and trying to convince them, like, no, I'm legit. I'm not trying to scam you. I'm not trying to exploit him in any way. And eventually I went in and did a couple of commercial reads for that agent, and she signed me, and it was off from there. It was a smaller agency. Eventually I developed and progressed, but now like my family couldn't have been farther from entertainment growing up. I mean, even like still to this day, I'm the only one on that side of the equation, beating the drum and trying to do the weird shit that nobody really quite understands.
Well, in what way do they not understand it? Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you always get the like, my grandparents for a long time when I was still acting a lot, like at the like, I guess like the height or whatever of my childhood career, would always be like, so what do you want to do for a living?
Mm-hmm.
This.
They'd ask you as a 10-year-old.
Oh yeah, I mean like 13. They'd be like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I'd be like, "I'm fucking doing it." And then like my grandpa would always like, I would finish a movie or a show or whatever. My grandpa would be like, "You know what I think would be a good option for you when all this acting stuff is done? The Navy." I'm like, no,
all this acting stuff is done.
Yeah, I mean like my immediate family has always understood and like been very cool, but like the extended family never really got it at all. And it's
and they're all LA people?
No, I mean my parents were all from San Diego. Well, my mom's mom was from Hawaii, but then like my dad's parents and all them were from San Diego. And it was just so far from anything that they knew that they couldn't perceive of it being anything but just like that fun little quirky thing he does. It's fun now that like I've switched to books because my family still understands like, yeah, I'm gonna go for these things with impossibly long odds and like never really settle into like a normal person career or whatever. But like my fiance's family is completely new to that side of me and like of the world because no one in their family does anything like that. So it's been interesting to like work through that with them and be like, no, nobody becomes a giant success on their first 2 books,
Oh yeah. Oh, especially books, man. I mean, that is such a long game, and that is such a I mean, it's a cool world though. We're gonna get more into it, but yeah, that is I mean, I'm kind of I mean, I'm exactly the same way. Like my extended family doesn't really have any idea. Like like and they can't, like, they'll just kind of be like, oh, so what happens out there?
Yeah.
And it's like,
how do these things work?
But that's in Western Pennsylvania. I guess I assume everybody with like LA roots, it's like it's just ingrained.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you would assume, but it's like if they have no exposure to it, then most people don't really get the ins and outs of it. I mean, I even had friends when I was growing up that like, if I was on a dry streak or like just finished something, they'd be like, well, what are you working on now? And I'd be like, oh, nothing right now. And they'd be like, oh, so you're not an actor then? Like you have to be working to be an actor. I'm like, the fuck? No, that's not how that works.
Well, so were you booking stuff consistently, like all through grade school and high school and stuff? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, I was only in like traditional schooling until 7th grade, and then I was pulled out and homeschooled because by 7th grade I was missing more school than I was there for.
Just because of like, what was it, commercials or TV shows or movies or all the above?
All the above, yeah. I mean, it was
wow.
I was getting pulled out at least 2-3 times a week for auditions, if not more, and then inevitably book something and have to be gone for anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks at a time. And it just got to a point where like I couldn't it made no sense to stay in a regular school. So I was homeschooled through high school, because even then through high school I was still working a lot, and then into my early 20s I was still working pretty consistently too.
Do you feel like you missed out on anything, or are you like glad for the ride?
I go back and forth on that. It's like I had a very different experience than what like most people my age would look back on for like high school and like the early 20s and all that. But I don't know if I would miss anything from the other side of that. Because it was such a unique and different way to come up. And I mean, like, obviously there are negative sides to it, but the positives far outweigh them. And I look at a lot of the people my age that like had, that I knew that were having the regular like high school and junior high and all that experiences. And I look at what they went through and I'm like, no, I didn't really miss much.
Yeah. I mean, middle school was, I think, by far my least favorite. Grade school in general. It did get, from my perspective, I mean, everyone's different, but for me, it did get progressively better. Like high school was a little bit better than grade school. Even I didn't really care for either much. Yeah. But then college was actually pretty awesome. Like college, I don't think there's anything I would trade those years for.
Sure.
But it didn't get cool until college, for me personally. Like I would trade in anything else, I think.
I mean, college, I didn't even really get like the regular college either, just because
But what'd you do?
I tried college 3 times. Okay. And every time I started a new school, I booked something that inevitably took me away from it.
Wasn't there some kind of like just theater program you could go into where that type of thing is just encouraged anyway and you still get your credits? Like, I know that exists.
I did film school, I did animation school, and I did makeup effects school. And you would think that like those kinds of programs would be like, oh yeah, fuck it, go make a TV show or make a movie, but they're really not. I mean, at least the ones I did anyway were very I don't want to say against leaving, but made it very clear like they weren't gonna be accommodating towards it.
Wow, that's wild. So you would just have to be like, well, sorry, I booked something, I'm out.
I mean, it depended. If it was something quick, I could have made it work, but it's like every time I tried, it was always something substantial where it was going to take me away for like a month or more.
Well, what is the key to successful auditioning then, as somebody who's been doing it for most of your life?
Oh, geez. I don't know if I'm the person to ask. I mean, I would honestly say just showing up, just putting in the time, knowing your pages, knowing your character, putting in the work ahead of time, getting to the audition early always helps. And just plugging along, it's a numbers game. My old mentor told me when I was a kid that getting an audition by itself, the odds are so stacked that getting an audition is like winning the lottery. Getting a callback is like winning the lottery while being struck by lightning, and booking it is like winning the lottery while being struck by lightning while standing next to Bigfoot.
Wow. So you've had a lot of Bigfoot encounters in your life.
And most of those are just me looking in the mirror.
Come on. No, I mean, it is a wild world. And for me, like coming strictly from the road comedy world until I moved here, it was all just a new wheelhouse for me, and there's plenty of people in LA that do it that way, where it's like they come from comedy and then they have to like figure out this other skill. And, there's all like the like niche comedic roles that they usually audition for. But yeah, it was just like a totally I mean, I did like theater and stuff like that,
Mm.
but that's not the same animal as TV and
No.
film in Los Angeles.
I mean,
Well,
even the audition process is completely
right.
different.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Well, what's your take on the whole? Do you not like the self tape world? Do you prefer the self tape world? What's your thoughts on that?
I go back and forth on that too, because it's like when I like through the COVID years, I fucking hated it. And then I got used to it to the point where when I would get an in-person, I'd be like, I'm not going to this. Let me self-tape.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Yeah.
would self-tape and be like, oh, this is terrible. I should have gone. And then I would get, 3 or 4 more self-tapes and do them and hate them every step of the way. And then getting in person and being like, are you sure I can't self-tape for this? So it's a back and forth.
No, I feel you. I mean, I understand like being in the room, there is something special to it.
Oh, yeah.
But man, I really like, I remember one time, and this does not happen to me often at all, but there was one day where I got 2 auditions in one day.
Nice.
And I got both my tapes in before noon. And it's like with in person, that would have been an entire day. At least.
Yeah.
Like that would have been, because you're driving around studio to studio, it's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
So I really, from that, and also I'll have those moments where I'm just like, I drove 3 hours round trip, parked illegally, and took my chances to say, look at that.
Yeah.
This could have been a tape.
Oh, yeah.
This could have been a freaking tape. And then if you liked what you saw, you could have called me back. Then I would have came in.
Yeah.
But I did not have to come in person for this initial look at that line or whatever it was. I mean,
that's
I have,
thing, though.
yeah.
Like being in the room was and is such a. I mean, I always swore because like the majority of the characters I played were rather like grrr, or were like I'm meek and nerdy, and there was always something about being able to walk into the room and bullshit with casting or bullshit with the producers as yourself and then making that hard turn into the character. That always seemed to help in some small way or another. Me not wanting to go to in-persons now is mostly just I don't like to leave my house. So it's like, really, you're going to make me go all the way to like Culver City for 2 lines and then I come all the way back home? No, I'm good.
So I first met you in comedy.
Yeah.
And I saw you, or I knew of you from your role on Shameless. So walk me through that, because I love that show. Like who didn't love Shameless? So what was your experience like there?
I mean, I was a fan of Shameless before I was on Shameless. I auditioned for that show every year until I got that part.
Oh, okay.
Like I went in originally for the pilot. They had me. I got really close to being Mickey for a long time.
No shit.
Yeah, wow. I went in for a couple different producer sessions for that one, and I got fairly close on it. But then it went to Noel, who obviously did that part way better than I could have. But they kept bringing me back like once a season every year until I eventually got that part. So in that pilot script was so strong that I will, normally if I read for something and don't book it, I have trouble watching it after.
Mm-hmm.
But Shameless wasn't one of those. Shameless was like, I watched the hell out of it anyway. And yeah, I mean, I went in for it at least once a year reading, mostly one-off characters until that one came along. And when I read for it initially, it was recurring, but they didn't know how recurring it was going to be. And then I did like most of the 4th season and 1 episode of the 5th. I mean, it was just cool to get to like in the small way that character existed to get to contribute to a show that I watched anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That I knew other people watched.
I ran into Jeremy Allen White once at a bar in North Hollywood, and he was, now granted, this was some years ago, so he wasn't quite as famous as he is now. Like sure. He Like only I think only a handful of people knew who he was at the time, and it was North Hollywood, so of course nobody cared.
Yeah.
But there was a stand up show going on, so he was kind of talking to some of the comics, of which I was one. So I did mention to him like, "Hey man, I'm really loving the show, and by the way, I went to grad school, and so your relationship with your professor kind of reminds me of, well, minus all the like heavy trauma that occurs, like kind of reminds me of the relationship, you know, that I've had with some of my professors. Not the affair, the guy that he's a TA for." I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I never clarified that to him. So he might have been like, "Oh, okay, well,
Just
good
like, this
for
dude's
you,
pretty
I
cool.
guess." Yeah, right. I think I did clarify like which, you know, like which professor I was talking about
Yeah.
in the show, but yeah, no, and he was like super chill. We took a selfie or whatever. But was he a cool guy?
I mean, I can't speak for how he is now, but he was lip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like in between takes and in between setups, he would always disappear from set, but production always knew where he was because he was always just outside the stage door chain smoking.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. So he does live lip and then Carmy too.
Yeah.
That's a very Carmy thing. But well, so what was it like for you when your character rapped? Like, were you expecting it, or was it kind of sudden? Or
Um, I mean, I never had like a definitive end date for that character, so I kind of thought every episode was my last episode. You know, I would get the pages and I would go in and I would shoot, and I always kind of assumed like, oh, well, this is it. This character's done here, and then you know I'd get a call the next week like, oh no, they found a scene for you. My last episode is the first episode of the 5th season. That one felt pretty definitive, just because the relationship between Lip and my character existed because of the relationship between Lip and my character's girlfriend.
mm-hmm.
And when that storyline started to wrap up, I was like, well, there's absolutely no reason to bring my character back now. So when it actually finally came down to the last episode for me, I had a feeling. But I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal because I had been waiting for it for every episode. I never assumed I was coming back. You know, they can tell you recurring all they want and then never bring you back. So I mean, I was lucky that I got brought back as much as I did.
So what got you into stand up?
Stand up was something that I'd always kind of tried.
Okay.
Like when I was younger, like maybe 14 or 15, I tried it. And I did an open mic and bombed real hard and then didn't touch it again until I was like 20. But it was something that I had always loved and wanted to do. And as the on-camera stuff started to slow down and started to shift, that's where my focus and attention went. I'd done it for like 2 years in my early 20s and then moved away and dropped it and then came back into it right at the beginning of COVID.
Mm-hmm. And then what made you, I mean, you said you kind of walked away from it again, yeah?
So yeah, I mean,
what led to that?
I had reached a point where I felt like I was as good as I was going to be. And didn't want to put in the work to push harder to be better than that. Like I didn't love it enough to commit any more to it than I already had. I'm sure you'll feel there's so many issues with like the scene itself and the clubs and some of the people that work in the clubs and some of the, you know, a lot of the comedians. And there was so much bullshit and so much nonsense surrounding like every second of stage time that I got that I didn't want it enough to push harder to get better than I already was. And it was like, well, if I'm not going to dedicate any more to this, why bother keep doing it at all? And I had one particularly bad show where I walked off stage after like the show was a complete disaster, not by the fault of the comics, but like by the fault of like the people that put it on. It was a fundraiser show that I had been brought in to produce, and I like put together the lineup, and I was supposed to host it. And like the example I give to tell you just how shitty that show was, the people organizing the fundraiser before the show started wanted the president of the organization to get on stage and do knock knock jokes for 15 minutes before I opened the show.
Oh no! 15 minutes for that? Oh,
15
God.
minutes. It was rough. Like,
what did you say? Did you put that fire out, or did you let them do it?
I mean, I kind of had no choice. They did it right before I was supposed to go on. Like, I was like waiting to go start the show, and they're like, "Hey, so the big boss is here, and this guy wants to make a good impression, so he's going to go up first." And I'm like, "The fuck no!" But I mean, like that. I mean, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. That show was a nightmare. It was a rough one, and I got off stage after that show and just realized like, I didn't love it enough to suffer through the bad of it either.
Oh man!
And it was like, well, at that point, why even bother continuing?
A corporate fundraising gig was the final nail.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it was literally corporate, but it was corporate.
Oh, it was corporate
gig designation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's man. Yeah. No, that's. I mean, I've had some nightmares like that too. I've told this story a couple times, but I did a show at it was like a club. Like not a comedy club, like a private club for all these people. I think it was like an RV club that they all had. And it was in Maryland. And this is pertinent to the story because I'm from Pittsburgh. And when you are doing the road in that part of the country, usually you don't want to like even mention what city you're from because people take their football teams very, very seriously. So I would never, ever like mention that I lived in Pittsburgh unless it was like a Pittsburgh show. Plus, I felt like there were more interesting things about me than where I paid rent at the time. But I was at this RV club, and the guy who was like the RV person was just like, "Hey, so I'm gonna say a few words. I'm gonna then I'll introduce you." And he goes, "So what do you want me to say?" And I'm like, just say clubs and colleges, Romplicone. And he goes, "Well, I want to say something more than that." And I'm like, "Yeah, you don't need to." And he goes, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "It's not important." And he goes, "Oh, come on, where are you from?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm from Pittsburgh." And he goes, "Oh, you know that this is," and I'm like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, "Yeah, you don't need to say that." I'm like, "Look, I've been on, you could," because I didn't really have any credits at the time. I was just like a new opening act who was like just starting to get some road work in, at the time I was living back in Pittsburgh. And so anyway, this guy gets on stage and he, everyone knows him because it's like some RV club or whatever the hell. And he goes, "Guys, I just want to say this because you have been asking me. Mom had an okay day yesterday. She was able to sit up and I could tell she knew who I was and she held my hand. And we're just taking it one day at a time. And we thank you all for your continued prayers." On a lighter note, I'm going to bring up your first comedian. He's from Pittsburgh, but let's not hold that against him. Ron Palcone.
Oh, fuck.
Dude.
Oh, my God.
I walk on stage, and there is a combination of people crying because they knew this person's mom. So there's literally people in the audience. I can see them crying because, by the way, it was like cafeteria lunchroom lighting.
Yeah.
I see people crying. Other people are booing me because I'm from Pittsburgh, and they're yelling like "Go Ravens" or whatever it was they were yelling. Yeah. And then I had to do 20 minutes cold. It was the worst. The gig was not great. I mean, honestly, I've had worse, but sure. Yeah, but that one sticks out in the memory box. Let me tell you.
I had my first and only real road gig was up in Fresno.
Oh, there you go.
Which is
that's a place.
Such a bastion of
yeah.
It's the shimmering jewel of California, Fresno.
Well, now you know what road work is like throughout the country. I mean, really, yeah. Fresno. I can tell you, I think I've done like 45 or no, I think more than that. I think like 48 or 47 out of the 50 states. There's only like 3 I haven't, but like, I could tell you, Fresno. That's what a lot of road kicks are like.
Well, like, we get to this gig that was supposed to be in a bar, and walk into the bar and had one stage, and there was a DJ sitting up on it.
There you go. Yep.
And we're like,
That's
so are we?
Night I know well.
Like, are we playing? Are we performing in front of the DJ? Or are we going before the DJ? After the DJ? And the dude that booked it was like, "Oh no, DJ's in here. You guys are out back." Thinking like, "Oh, maybe there's a patio." No,
Just a yard or something.
he set up a stack of wooden pallets with like a sheet of plywood on top of them in the alley behind his bar with like 5 folding chairs.
And then there was a sandwich board that said, "From Shameless, Adam Cagley."
Not even a sandwich board. It was a fucking piece of paper taped to the back door.
Yeah, there you go. Adam Cagley from Shameless is here.
And yeah, I did 20 minutes on a stage that I was just like, there's no way my big ass is going straight through these pallets.
That would have been a heck of a closer.
Yeah. In an alley next to the dumpsters, lit by the floodlight they used, the motion light they used for like intruders and shit, while a DJ was going on the other side of the wall, just like through the wall the whole time.
I had to do a show through a football game once.
God!
No, this was like in not in the city of Pittsburgh, but like kind of like outside a little bit. And it was the best part was it wasn't even an actual NFL. It was preseason. It was a preseason NFL game, and we were just like, "Hey, are we
the games that really matter?"
Yeah, right. I was like, "Are we gonna?" I'll never forget the guy, like, because he goes, "Are you guys about ready?" And I wasn't the headliner, but the headliner goes, are you gonna turn the TVs off?" And the guy goes, "That's not gonna happen."
Yeah.
But they turned it down.
And so at least they gave you that.
We had to do stand up to like, but I mean, the cheers weren't any lower. And you would think it was the Super Bowl. It was a preseason game. It does not even count. You're basically watching the people who are trying to get a job on the team. Yeah. And they're cheering like it's like playoffs.
You're watching practice.
Yeah, it was nuts. But anyway, so you walked away from stand-up, and is that when you really started diving into writing? And tell me about your writing world.
I mean, writing was something I always did. My first couple attempts at college, that was the focus, was I wanted to be a screenwriter. And I had tried, pitching pilots and shit like that before. I had sold a couple of screenplays when I was younger that ended up never becoming things. And I'd always written, and when I was like 17, I tried writing my first novel, and I'm very grateful that it exists in absolutely no form anymore because it was terrible. Mm-hmm. And when I stopped doing stand-up, the idea was to shift the focus more to writing. And originally I was trying to develop like an animated pilot, and I'd had it in my head that I wanted to do a book at some point because I had always wanted to do a book. And the idea for the animated pilot ended up becoming the idea for my first book. And it kind of, when I started writing that one, it really felt like all the little bits of experience I had in different pools through the like 20 years prior had all come together to form the skill set I needed to write books. And I had no idea that that's what I was preparing myself for. So I did that first one, and then that's been my focus since. It's the one thing that I've found that like I love enough and want enough to want to get better at it. Mm-hmm. It really reminded me of like when I first started acting and was like so entrenched in trying to be the absolute best I could be at it. Like, I mean, like, books are almost 100% of my focus on any given day. It felt like writing that first one and then moving through the more recent stuff I have felt like engaging a part of myself that I didn't realize had been sitting there waiting for a long time.
So what kind of stuff are you really like? It looks like a lot of like kind of indie horror stuff. Is that
Mhm.
sort of your niche?
Yeah, I mean, indie horror. I tend to lean it a little close to like horror comedy. There, are, that part of the brain is really hard to turn off.
Mm.
Um, so it tends to be a little, I like to say it rides the line between scary and silly.
Okay. So is IAF Press, is that like, do you like publish yourself and then other people too? Or like what's, tell me the origin story there.
I haven't published anyone else. I've thought about it a couple times, but it's a big enough pain in the ass doing my own shit.
Yeah.
um,
No, I worked in book publishing for some years and it's
nice.
a lot of fun, but it
Yeah.
is very tedious
Oh, yeah.
work and kind of not super, I mean, it's rewarding from the creator standpoint, but it's kind of thankless in many ways too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I mean, well, so what do you try to think of like the way I want to frame this question? Because like, what are some of the differences you notice in those industries? Because obviously there's some crossover,
Mm.
but I feel like publishing compared to film and television, like there's just it's just such a different like creative outlet
Oh, yeah.
with sort of a different set of goals and a different set of what success looks like. So what has been like some of the transitions for you going from one to the other? Not that you're like exclusive to any one world, but now that this is kind of, your big passion.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would say I'm pretty exclusive to books at this point. I don't have much interest in acting anymore.
Really? So what kind of took you out of it?
I mean, I did Shameless. Shameless ended. I did a couple of things after Shameless, and it was kind of the same as stand up, where I had a
There was some
moment.
plywood and
Yeah.
there was a boss telling knock knock jokes on set. It really fucked you up.
Fucking Jeremy Allen White, man, and his goddamn knock knock
He
jokes.
told knock knock jokes.
Like I just had a moment where I realized, I hadn't worked in a few years, and when you get to that point, every audition becomes, as much as you try not to put pressure on it, every audition becomes like the make or break when you haven't worked in a few years.
Mm.
And I realized I didn't love it in the way I did when I was a kid. I felt like a lot of the purity of it had gone away. Like I when I was younger, I did it because I loved it, and it was who I was, and I wanted nothing more than to just be on set and playing with actors. And then as I got older and it became, oh, well, I need this to pay the rent, it shifted, and I stopped loving it as like an art form and was looking at it solely as a job. And you kind of can't do that with a job that hard, because it's never going to love you back. Like at all. So if that was something that I had been told really early on when I was a kid, was that, if you're doing it for the money, don't do it. And I'd gotten to a point with it where it was like I was literally only looking at it as a paycheck. I didn't care what the characters were. I didn't care what the projects were. It was just like, cool, is this going to keep me afloat for another few months? And when it got hard, that wasn't enough to sustain me through it. So I had started to walk away from it. My agents and managers realized I was starting to like pull back from it. So like we've all agreed to like part our ways and all that. But books, to go back to your question, I honestly find them to be a little more freeing as I mean, not as a business, but as an art form, mostly because I don't have the constraints on a book that I had with like acting or screenwriting, because there's no one telling me what I can and can't do. You know,
Hmm.
there's no budget to consider. There's no casting to think about. There's no locations to manage. I can do whatever the fuck is in my head. The business side of it, publishing versus entertainment, is honestly like the way it's starting to shift is pretty similar from what I've seen. Whereas, you know, studios look at your follower count before they bring you in, and a lot of publishers now will look at your follower count before they bring you in. The indie side of it, you know, when I was writing and making movies and shit like that, it was always independent. So the indie side of publishing isn't much different from me. I've always had the, you know, if the big boys don't want to play with you, fuck it, it's cool. I'll go take my toys and play with myself, kind of mentality. So that's really nothing new. It can be fickle though, is what I will say. Like readers are very swayed by like what the book influencers want. So a lot of the mainstream publishing tends to lean towards what the book influencers want. And finding the right readers can be fucking hard, let me tell you. But
Well, how do you do that?
I mean, that's kind of the trick, because you know, I'll put something out and feel like I found the readership for it, and then like watch the ad progress or watch the, you know, the pre-orders and the sales and realize like, oh no, I haven't yet. So it's really a matter of like finding the right space of like-minded people. I you know, I always say that I write my shit for myself more than anyone, because then if nobody reads it, at least I got something I think is cool.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of finding the people that also think it's cool. And it's a lot of fucking like digging through Instagram and digging through, you know, different community sites and finding where those people are and then paying to put the book cover in front of their faces.
Well, what about like literary conferences and like, you know, all the like festivals and stuff like that, or like some of like the Indie Horror Fest and some of like the indie publishing cons? Like, do you do those circuits?
That's something that I'm starting to get into this year. I'm going to LA Times Festival of Books in April. And then I'm pretty sure I'm doing Midsummer Scream
Oh, that one's
in
so fun.
August. I fucking love
In Long
Midsummer.
Beach, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a
Um,
fun. I went last year. It was really fun.
I just wish that like, you know, like AuthorCon or StokerCon weren't in like the Midwest and the East Coast, because then it would be infinitely easier to get to them. I feel like, you know, that's kind of the shitty thing, is like a lot of the big author events where the indie guys go are, you know, way too far for me to drive and way too expensive to fly.
Well, yeah, because I mean the literary scenes, you know, and we had like Sam from Weird Punk Books has done this show, and it's like a lot of those literary scenes, like they're really huge in places like Minneapolis and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's like
Yeah.
it's cold out there. People are reading.
Yeah.
They're reading because it's cold, and it's like
They can't go outside.
yeah, yeah. So it's like they're indoors and they like to read and stuff. It's just a really it's very literary in places like that. Um, well, so what is going to be next for you?
Oh, geez. I'm working on 3 novels at the moment.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's nuts.
Honestly, I feel like it's a bit of an attention span issue, because I started one and I was like, oh, fuck, I got a really cool idea for something else. And then like I started to like that idea more, but I'm like 20,000
Mhm.
words into the other one. So I'm like, well, I can't just leave this one. All right, I'll work on both of them at the same time. And then I was like looking back through some of my old shit, and I was rereading one of my old short stories, and I was like, oh fuck, this would make a really cool novel. I should do this too. And I'm like, I'm bouncing back and forth doing like a chapter here, a chapter here, a chapter here. Immediately though, I do have a short story coming out in a collection this summer in a book called Something Out There from Terrorcore Publishing. But I mean, other than that, yeah, I these novels I plan to query.
Like, see if someone wants to put it out.
Yeah, mostly because like my my publishing imprint, I started it with the first book because I didn't want to try to query the first book. And then after the process of publishing that first book, I was like, all right, I'm going to go see if somebody else wants it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's just a lot of freaking work.
I had signed it to a publisher and they republished it the year after. And then January of last year, or no, sorry, June of last year, they shut down. So it's like I have those rights back. I'm trying to find something to do with them too. But then, you know, my second book I put out myself, and not that, you know, like IAF Press will always exist, but I would like to see if other people want to do it too.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking lot putting it out myself.
No, it's a lot. Well, what does it mean to you to be creatively satisfied? Is that something you think you have? And if so, like what does it mean to be there?
I mean, it's like I said, I work for myself. If at the end of it, I dig it, it's just a really happy bonus if readers like it too. At the end of the day, like if it's something that I'm excited about and that I enjoy reading the 18 million times I have to read it through its revisions and edits, then I'm usually good. It's I mean that's the satisfying part of it to me is having something that I enjoy, that I think is cool, that didn't exist before I forced it into existence. Yeah.
We'll tell people where they can go to learn more about you and pick up any books you have available.
Instagram, I am at that Adam Cagley. My website is adamcagley.com. All of my books are on there. And I also have a Substack, but I never update the fucking thing. So
I just started getting back into Substack recently, actually. I've had a Substack for years, but it was the same thing. Now I actually, I don't know. I really like Substack now. I'm diving more into it. I love Substack. So now I'm trying to do something every weekday. That's my goal.
I've been, you know, I haven't been posting on it, but I do like read it frequently, and I appreciate how like it's a fucking breath of fresh air, and like the world controlled by Meta.
Yeah, and it's sort of, I don't know. This is gonna date me a little. Like to me, it's almost like the closest thing we have to what MySpace was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like and I thought MySpace was like we had it right. Like that was like the perfect, and then it got, you know. Then we ruined it.
Or like Blogspot.
Yeah. It is like I miss it. Like Substack's like the new iteration of that, I think. And it's just a cooler way to use the internet and deliver content, I think.
If Tom from MySpace were to come back and be like, hey, I redesigned it, it's back, he would have so many people day one.
But he doesn't need to. And
I know.
I want to get him on the show. That's an interesting guy. He just was like, okay, you don't like what I'm just going to sell this, and, you know, it's up to you guys. And I'm going to enjoy my freaking life.
That dude could save us from the meta shit.
He could. Yeah. And I mean, I don't blame him for not.
He's like, you didn't appreciate it when you had it, you fuckers.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like we didn't know what we had. We didn't know how good we had it. And then, And so, but yeah, I would really like to have a conversation with that guy. I don't know how. I know he does podcasts occasionally, but that'll be. How do
you even contact him? Like, how do you find him?
I don't know. I tell him you want to buy one of his photographs. That would probably be like the best angle. Like just be like, dude, really, it's he's like, well, is this a photography podcast? Not really, but I mean, but we'll talk about it.
It can be if you want it to be.
I mean, it's, Well, Adam, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, dude. Thank you.
That was Adam Cagley. Check out all of his stuff. Check out some of his books. Oh, and if you're into that sort of thing, I highly recommend checking out episode 73 with Sam Richard of Weird Punk Books. If you're into horror and novels and publishing, I definitely recommend Sam Richard's episode, which is episode 73. Music for the 1000 podcast is provided by Andrew Saxonov. Be sure to check out his podcast, the Baywatching Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Please do leave us a 5-star review. Tell your friends. Make sure you're subscribed. You know the deal. And if you want to support this show on the sustainability end, you can do so over at patreon.com/romplacone. I'm doing a lot of Zoom shows for patrons where we do full stand-up shows. I also put up stand-up clips not available anywhere else. It's a really cool community we got going on over on Zoom. You also get the 1,000 episodes before they're released to the public, and it's all for a give what you can level. Even $1 a month goes a long way. All right. One more until we're at 150. We are real close to another round number, which is really in the hundreds. I mean, what else unique do you got to say, really? All right. Catch you next week. Peace.